So in addition to exhibit different nucleotidic variation, ribosomal RNA also displays some chemical modifications that may be altered depending on the context. So up to now, the linked or the clear demonstration that change in ribosome composition affects specific mRNA translation have been performed by a breakthrough study of the lab of Maria Barna. So she showed in mouse embryonic stem cells that two different populations of ribosome exist in the cells, one containing RPL10A protein. This ribosome being able to favor the translation of extracellular matrix proteins. And another kind of subpopulation of ribosome exists that contain RPS25 and that is able to favor the translation of vitamin pathway proteins. So in the lab, we mainly focused on the chemical modification of ribosomal RNA. So because in fact, it has to be said that the ribosome is the ribosome, meaning that some activity of the ribosome are clearly dependent upon the ribosomal RNA rather than the proteins. So for example, as you may know, one activity of the ribosome is to translate, of course, to decode the mRNA into a particular amino acid thanks to the tRNA. So in the small subunit of the ribosome, just here, in fact, the codon of the mRNA is recognized by the anticodon of a tRNA. However, the entry of a tRNA within the ribosome is a stochastic entry, and in fact, only when the anticodon is clearly hybridize the codon of the mRNA. In this case, you have a tripartite interaction, including the ribosomal RNA, that will stabilize the interaction between the tRNA and the mRNA. And in this context, as you can see here, in fact, the interaction between these three types of RNA are clearly dependent upon the presence of chemical modification of the ribosomal RNA. So at present, three different types of RNA chemical modification have been described. The most abundant correspond to the 2' ribose methylation. We know also some pseudo-uridylation and some base modification, including methylation, but also acetylation, for example. So in the lab, we focus on the main chemical modification observed at 206 position and corresponding to 2' ribose methylation. So this methylation is added by a complex that contains 4 different proteins and a small non-coding RNA. So among the proteins, the most important is the fibrillary, FBL, which corresponds to the methyltransferase and that will catalyze the addition of the methyl group onto the ribosomal RNA. As I said, the methylation is located at some particular positions that you can see here on the structure of the ribosome in red. So this is a 2' ribose methylation. And the specificity of localization of a methylation is given by a small non-coding RNA called SNO RNA for small nucleolar RNA. So this SNO RNA hybridizes in a second-specific manner the ribosomal RNA and thus is able to guide the fibrillary on the precise nucleotide that have to be methylated. So our objective is to understand the role of 2' O methylation of the ribosomal RNA in regulating translation and in the contribution in cancer. So as a first step, when I arrived as a postdoctorate researcher in the lab of Jean-Jacques Diaz, I start by analyzing the role of methylation in translation. So first we use, of course, cell line models. So with the cellular models, which display it's not a mutation, it's an inactivation of p53. So we observe that in response to inactivation of p53, there is a difference in methylation pattern of the ribosomal RNA. So to do that, we performed a RT-qPCR based on the fact that when you've got presence of a methylation, if you have a high concentration of DNTP, the reverse transcriptase will be able to go through the methylation, while in presence of low concentration of DNTP, the reverse transcriptase will stop when it have a kind of blockage, spheric encombrement, I don't remember the term. And in this case, the 2' ribose methylation will introduce a stop in your reverse transcriptase, and by RT-qPCR, you can identify the position when you've got methylation. And as you can see here, for some sites known to be methylated on the ribosomal RNA, we observe that inactivation of p53 increased methylation at some sites, while it decreased methylation at other sites, and while no change in methylation have been observed on other sites. So this means that in fact we are able to have a change in the profile of methylation, only some sites being able to be differentially methylated in response to p53. And so we show that the change in methylation is due to the fact that p53 is transcriptional regulator of the fibrillary, the methyltransferase that modulates the methylation. So in this condition, we used bicistronic luciferase reporter assay to determine the impact of alteration of methylation on IRS-dependent translation. So using this bicistronic assay, we are able to, in fact, analyze first the canonical, what we call the CAP-dependent translation, by monitoring the ReNIA activity. And if the ribosomes are able to directly start the translation within using this structure, this IRS sequence, Firefly luciferase will be monitored. So by comparing the ratio of IRS and CAP-dependent translation, we first observe that in response to inactivation of p53, when we have modulated the pattern of RNA methylation, there is an increase in IRS-dependent translation activity. And this is clearly dependent upon the presence of fibrillary, the methyltransferase, suggesting that alteration of methylation affects the translation activity of some genes, EGF1R, CMYC, or VEGF, which are involved in tumor initiation and progression. So with this first study, we revealed for the first time that methylation can be altered at some site, at some particular site, in response to chemical, we'll say, inactivation of p53. However, in this study, we did not show the clear link between methylation and translation. So in a second study, we use a particular assay called in vitro translation assay to show the direct contribution of methylation into the translation. So what we did that we in LA cells we knocked down the expression of fibrillary, thus artificially affecting the methylation profile by inhibiting the presence of methylation at some site. With this, in response to the SI fibrillary, so we have normal methylation pattern of ribosome and ribosome with differentially methylated ribosomal RNA. So what we did is that we purified the ribosome. These purified ribosomes were introduced in a ribosomeless rabbit reticulocyte supernatant, which contain everything needed for the translation, the canonical elongation factor, the tRNA, and of course all the different ATP and so on. And we added some in vitro synthesis mRNA containing either a normal 5' UTR or a 5' UTR coming from CRPV viruses and containing a ROS structure. So using this in vitro assay, we show that introduction of ribosome with a differentially methylation profile, we observe a decrease in ROS activity only with the ribosome showing a differentially methylation pattern, while we have no difference in translation with mRNA containing a normal 5' UTR. So this was the first demonstration that affectation of methylation of the ribosome directly affects translation. So after showing that 2' ribose methylation can alter or contribute in the regulation of translation, one important question was whether alteration of methylation of ribosomal RNA can occur in humans. So to do so, we use human samples to analyze the methylation. So as of proof of concept, we perform a study in breast cancer because, of course, as you may know, breast cancer, we can have access to a lot of different samples, of course. And in addition to that, breast cancer is known as a highly heterogeneous disease. And so in this case, if our hypothesis was that if we have diversity in methylation pattern, we will be able to see it in a cancer with a high heterogeneity. So as a reminder, so breast cancer is the most frequent cancer in women and also the first cause of cancer-related disease. And as I say, it presents different molecular subtype associated with different prognosis, of course. And in particular, we have luminal subtype expressing estrogen receptor, HE2R enriched tumor with an amplification of HER2 gene, and what we call triple negative tumor with no amplification of H2R2 and no expression or low expression of a receptor of estrogen and progesterone. And in this case, the triple negative cancer are the poorest prognosis. So first, we would like to analyze the methylation, but at the time we start this project, of course, we have only the capability to analyze the methylation using reverse transcription coupled to RT-qPCR analysis and only be able to analyze side by side, which was completely impossible using tumor samples. So that's why we start with analyzing the expression of fibrillary, the methyltransferase, to determine whether alteration of expression of fibrillary could be associated with some particular subtype or particular biological characteristic of the samples. So in the first instance, we analyzed more than 3,000 human samples. And as you can see here, in first cohort, we observe at mRNA level 3 groups of breast cancer tumors. Breast cancer tumors expressing low expression of fibrillary compared to healthy donor, and groups of tumors expressing high FBL mRNA levels compared to healthy donor. These three groups of FBL-related tumor display different prognosis, as you can see here. And in fact, patients bearing a breast cancer tumor expressing either a low fibrillary or a high fibrillary expression level has the poorest prognosis compared to tumors expressing an intermediate fibrillary levels. This, of course, was also observed using multivariate Cox regression analysis, suggesting that alteration of FBL expression is an independent marker of prognosis compared to the gold standard, which is in breast cancer, size, and lymph node. So this suggests that in tumors, expression of fibrillary can vary, and as we observe a clear correlation between expression of fibrillary and alteration of 2' ribose methylation of ribosomal RNA, it supports a potential alteration of methylation in tumors. So after this study, we had the opportunity to use a novel omics technology dedicated to the rRNA to primo-methylation profiling called the RiboMET-seq. So this method was developed by a Danish group in 2015. It was dedicated to the yeast samples first. So how RiboMET-seq is working? So when your ribosomal RNA present a 2' ribose methylation and that you subject this ribosomal RNA to an alkaline hydrolysis, the presence of the methylation will protect the binding between the methylated nucleotide with the N+1 nucleotide, meaning that in a normal RNA sequencing, when the first step is to fragment your RNA, if you use partial alkaline hydrolysis, the N+1 nucleotide will never be present at the 5' end of your read, while you will have an increase of the 3' end of your read that in fact stop with the N-1 nucleotide. So based on this, on the count of the 3' and 5' read counts, you could identify a drop in the coverage that in fact can be used to calculate the frequency of your methylation level at this particular nucleotide. And you will have this kind of profile. So for example, for all the RNA methylation site, 106 that have been described in the human, you will have a C-score which corresponds to a level of methylation. A level of 1, it means that all the ribosomal RNA present in your samples are methylated. 0 meaning that no RNA, ribosomal RNA are methylated at the position. And in the middle, it means that you have a mix of non-methylated and methylated ribosomal RNA in your samples. So as I said, this technology has been first developed for yeast, and after it has been so in collaboration with the team of Professor Yuri Motorin. So we transfer this technology to the human cell line, and more recently with the expertise of two platforms of the Cancer Research Center of Lyon, the tumoral characterization platform, which are experts in the sequencing of tumor samples and tumor samples mostly derived for FFPE samples, but also with the expertise of the bioinformatics platform here at CRCL. So we implement the RiboMET-seq here on the site, and we develop the technology in order to analyze and to profile the methylation using frozen biopsy, more recently on FFPE samples, but also we are developing RiboMET-seq for mouse samples. And in addition to develop the wet lab, we also make an effort to develop bioinformatic tools, tools of course to process the data, but also we develop new methodology to perform quality control dedicated to RiboMET-seq, which are clearly lacking in this field, and also a package, an analytic package to identify RNA to prime O methylation signature in the tumor. So using all these tools, we analyze the methylation of ribosomal RNA in a series of breast tumors of about 200 tumors. We use frozen biopsy, and we were able to perform RiboMET-seq on 100 nanogram of total RNA. So here it's in fact a hierarchical clustering where you can find here all the different tumor samples. Here you've got the 106 ribosomal RNA site, and
sorry, Virginie.
yes,
we don't see the cluster.
Is it working here?
Not for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe it was too big. So in this clustering, here you've got the tumors, here you've got the 106 rRNA methylation sites, and each square represents the methylation level for each tumor at its site. And for the score, if it's red, it means that you have 100% of methylation. And below, if you see blue square, it's you have a mix of non-methylated and methylated RNA. So as you can see here, if we compare first in a single samples, we observe that for all the sites, we have some sites which are clearly fully methylated, here in red, and some sites which are a mix on methylated and non-methylated ribosomal RNA. Meaning that in a single tumors, you have a mix of sites which are always present and sites which will be either present or absent within your same samples. So now if you look at a particular site, as you can see, we observe some site whose methylation is always the same between all the tumors, while we have some methylation levels for some site which are clearly not fully methylated for the single site. So if we compare here, it's another representation. You've got the tumor here, you've got the methylation site here. So here you can see a site for which methylation level is clearly identical between all the different samples, which come from different breast cancer subtypes. And you've got here another example for another site where you can see a full heterogeneity in your methylation level among the samples. So, in fact, after that, we try to identify which sites present are fully methylated and clearly non-variable between the different tumors compared to sites whose methylation level are clearly different between the tumors. So we classify. Yes.
Again, it's frozen. I think the presentation.
No, I think it's my, my internet.
Yes.
Can you see this one?
Okay, so we are on a bar plot where there is the invariant sites and the variant sites.
Exactly. That's right.
Okay.
So, so we classify the site either as site whose methylation level did not vary across all the different samples, and we've got some methylation site whose methylation level really vary between all the different samples. So it's here we identified about 30% of the methylation site of the ribosomal RNA, which can present variation in their methylation level. So in fact, what we did after that is that we label the different sites on the structure of the ribosomes. And in fact, what we observe is that there is no particular region in the ribosome where we can find the variant site. However, on this example, so you can see one important domain of the ribosome, which is the peptidyl transferase center, the region where the peptidyl formation occurs. So you can see that the first layer of nucleotides that in fact form this region is surrounded by methylation sites whose methylation are always present, whatever the tumors. And on the second layer of this site here, you can see only sites in blue, which correspond to variant sites, meaning that this invariant site may be essential for the fine-tuning of the structure of the ribosome and thus its activity, while here this variant site on the second layer can be a source of ribosome plasticity and may be able to regulate finely the activity of the ribosomes. From a clinical point of view, it also means that this variant site may be a source of plasticity to identify some biomarkers. So in a second instance, to determine whether alteration of methylation occur randomly or whether it is associated to particular biological process, we analyze alteration of methylation regarding particular characteristic of the tumor, either the grade or the breast cancer subtype. As you can see,
Virginie, we are still in the bar plot.
I think you know it's when I change my my slide.
Okay, it's okay.
It's okay? Thank you. So here we identify 4 sites whose methylation level is significantly different between the breast cancer subtype or between the grade of the tumors. So, for example, we observe the site on the small subunit of the ribosome 18S at position 576. We observed an increase of methylation in triple negative sample compared to luminal samples. So, to validate what we observe in tumors, we also profile some cell lines. So 2 cell lines representing luminal subtype and 2 cell lines representing triple negative breast cancer subtype. So on this profile of the cell line, you've got here the 106 RNA methylation site, and we can still observe some site whose methylation didn't vary between all the cell lines, and some sites whose methylation vary across the cell line. Interestingly, so the first site that we observe as significantly deregulated in tumor, we can here spot them, and we observe a clear difference in the cell lines between luminal and triple negative cell line. So here is just a magnification of the methylation level, and for we've got this site where we've got an increase in methylation level in triple negative cancer cell line compared to luminal. And we've got another site whose methylation is completely drastically decreased in triple negative breast cancer cell line compared to luminal ones. Meaning that here maybe we've got 2 methylation sites whose methylation could be dependent upon the estrogen signaling pathway, which is active in luminal but not in triple negative breast cancer cell line. So after that, what we try to understand is whether the levels of methylation is associated with different prognosis in tumors. So we analyze in particular this interesting site on the small subunit of the ribosome whose methylation decreased in triple negative breast cancer cell line and tumor samples compared to luminal samples. And here we analyze the overall and the progression-free survival in our 200 samples. And we observe that tumors with low methylation levels display a poor overall and progression-free survival compared to tumors with high methylation levels. So all this data shows that methylation vary in human samples in breast cancer, and in fact it is in line with several numerous data that have been now published, either in cell line in response to alteration of particular key oncogene or tumor suppressor gene, in different living organisms, but also in human disease where alteration of methylation have been described at some particular site. And in the lab, so we observe difference of methylation in breast cancer, as I just showed you, but also in different other kind of cancer, including acute myeloid leukemia, lung cancer, but also glioma. And so when we compare the site whose methylation vary in these different cancer, we can observe that some sites whose methylation vary are clearly specific of some cancer. For example, here we've got 4 sites whose methylation vary in glioma but not in other cancer. And we've got also 6 sites which are highlighted it. And in fact, we are differentially methylated, but I will say in all the different cancers that we analyze, suggesting that variation of methylation could be either common but also specific to particular cancer type. So with this presentation, we first demonstrate that variation of ribosomal RNA methylation occur in humans, in human samples, and that we can identify two kinds of methylation sites. One type which are always methylated and which could be compulsory to maintain the activity of the ribosome. And we have a second category of sites whose methylation can be either present or absent. And this site could introduce a plasticity in the ribosome that are associated, in fact, with clinical characteristics. So in particular, we observe that the site at position 1447 is present in luminal tumors, but not in triple negative cancer. And interestingly, so this methylation is in direct contact with RPS10, a ribosomal protein, which has been shown to be important and to regulate the RS-dependent translation of some genes. So at present, we are investigating whether this methylation site in particular could affect the translation and to favor differential acquisition of differential characteristics of breast cancer phenotype. So I would like to thank, of course, all the team of Jean-Jacques Diaz, and in particular Hermes Parachindes, PhD student who developed all the methodology and bioinformatic tools regarding the ribometric data. And as I say, so our collaborator, in particular, the platform of sequencing and the bioinformatic platform, which perform now in routine ribometric analysis. They take care of the sample, but also of the bioinformatic analysis. And thank you for your attention.